Hi everyone, how's it going? This is Michael for Spirit Comics. Welcome to my review of Extermination #1 from Marvel Comics. If you're new to my channel, please do subscribe and smash that bell like She-Hulk so you won't miss any new uploads. Also, please do like and share this comic book review with your friends, family, enemies, and whomever, so that others can enjoy it as well. And please do leave your comments down below. Now it says on the cover, the next big X-Men epic starts here. I like the cover. It's active. It's got stuff going. It's got stuff going on. It's exciting, and you see on the left side what the X-Men looked like back in the 1960s, in the yellow or the gold and black, and then you see them on the right as they are now. They each have different suits, and the name of the comic book should give you some hint of what is going to happen. Extermination. So let's get into the story. Now this is the Xavier Institute for Mutant Education and Outreach in Central Park, New York. But it looks to be in shambles. But it's 20 years from now. So that would put it at 2038. And this hooded figure is kneeling over Cyclops, an adult Cyclops. This must be the adult version of the displaced Scott Summers, who was brought from 1968 to the present by Hank McCoy so that the X-Men could be better than they were, or whatever. So this would suggest that the displaced mutants, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Angel, Iceman, Beast, and they did not get back to their original time. And the hooded figure says none of this looks right. Well, the figure is completely correct. I mean, it looks like a guy, I'm guessing. The reason that he's correct is because that's Kitty Pryde there on the right, and if this is 20 years in the future, which would put it at 2038, from 2018, then Kitty Pryde should look a lot older than she does, and that is Hank McCoy. That should be the Hank McCoy which brought the team to the future, and that's Colossus. And there's Storm, and she looks the same in 20 years from 2018. So yeah, something is not right here. And the figure says that someone screwed everything up, and now he's gonna have to go clean up the mess. Now this is Chicago, Illinois, present. No more mutants! Protect human lives! So those people are protesting mutants in Illinois. And then we have these two figures there in the shadow. It says translated from French. What do we do? And it's two children. Now I don't care if people are mutants or not. You just do not go around harming children. And you can tell these are mutants because their skin is pale. Sort of like Domino, although I don't know her backstory. But they definitely don't look human. I mean, they kind of look human, but the pigment of their skin is very pale. And then this dude spots them and threatens them, and so the girl uses her, what I'm guessing is psychic power, to protect her and the brother. Then they get a message that says duck. What? Now they're French, so I wonder how could the girl understand the word duck. And then the dude is hit with a big ball of ice. Now this is like in the summer months, so how is this happening? You know, how is ice hitting him when no ice should exist? Da-da-da-da! The team of X-Men Blue. From left to right, Iceman, aka Bobby Drake. Next to him, Cyclops, aka Scott Summers. Next to him, Marvel Girl, aka Jean Grey. And down on the ground below them, Beast, aka Hank McCoy. Next to Jean Grey, Angel, aka Warren Worthington III. And below them is Bloodstorm, aka Aurora Monroe. Now, she is from another universe, because this universe already had a version of Aurora Monroe, but this one you see here is a vampire. So she's with the X-Men Blue team, and Storm, who is Aurora Monroe, you know, basically, I'm not sure where she is right now, because she's not with, I don't think she's with the X-Men Gold team, although I haven't read that book for a few issues now, so I'm not sure. But you have to wonder, how can these kids who speak French understand what's being told to them by telepathy in English, unless they know how to speak and understand English? So anyway, the team takes them to the Xavier Institute there in Central Park, New York City. And Kitty Pryde asking about their parents. They couldn't locate the parents, and those kids have no memories from from before they arrived, because as Jean says here, I poked around inside their heads with their permission, and nothing. You know, nothing was there prior to them arriving. So Jean surmises that their minds were wiped of all memories. You know, like you would a hard drive. And their doctor that's on call, Dr. Cecilia Reyes, says that health-wise, they're great. They're in great condition. They're just normal kids. But as for the memories, she has no clue. So Kitty, they're on the left. Jean and Scott are talking, and Jean wants Kitty to keep them updated on what's going on, because it's got to be scary for them. But later on that evening, Scott Summers, who is Cyclops, and Aurora Monroe are literally out on a date. Although it's a very it's a very hard date for Scott. And I love what Bloodstorm says here. You do understand that I'm a vampire and there's nothing I can eat here, right? And then and there's Scott's like, oh right, I didn't even and she said, and she says to him that because he's sort of slow and putting his words together, because he does have something that he wants to say. But she says, Scott, I can pretty easily intuit what it is you want to say. There's an attraction between us, yet you have not been outright in addressing it. So you thought you would bring me on a date and talk. This is a date, correct? No, that's not. I mean, yeah. I mean, who wouldn't be attracted to her? Bloodstorm is beautiful. And Scott mentions that he and the others, they have been thinking about going back to the past again, because they've already done that once. So I'm not sure why they would do it again, and they were sent back with little to no answers. And he basically is mentioning, you know, why, you know, what if we did, then if we go back to the past and starting anything now would be, you know, problematic, because, and she says, Scott, we are both here now. A couple of people displaced from our time, our home universe, who met here in this one. Let us put the future and the past out of our minds and just focus on the now. And look how she's holding his hand. I think that's wonderful. It's just beautiful. I mean, it's just, it shows intimacy, something I rarely see in X-Men comics or Marvel comics, to be, you know, blunt about it. Then the evening can't be all that great, because some weird dude in a purple suit shows up with two hounds. Yes, those are hounds. The one in the top left and the one down there at the bottom. See those markings on them? Those are hounds. And he's looking for the Scott Summers that died. You know, the older one. The Scott Summers that he would one day become. But you know but he doesn't recognize the guy. And I just love these panels of Scott and Bloodstorm together, because they look really cute together, I think. And it would be really awesome, in my opinion, if a relationship between them could have been explored, because they're both young adults and they have a long time. But you know, there's even chivalry in here, and you know, Bloodstorm acknowledges it. I'll keep them distracted while you get everyone out of here. How chivalrous of you! And the artwork is really good, even in these panels when it has to show the images of the people from a distance, because you can only do so much with so little space. Scott goes at him, and he literally, you know, just lets himself loose. Shoom! Because he's defending Bloodstorm and everybody there. But then this one hound attacks, and then Bloodstorm defends him. And she makes a very good point. See, we make a great team. And they do. They make a really good team, and I believe they look cute together. But then this happens, and it disappoints me, because I was starting to like Bloodstorm. And the guy says that his blade is laced with silver for such occasions. And you know, that's playing on the, you know, old movie theme that, you know, vampire that comes in contact with silver will die. But then I love the expression on his face. Look at his face. You killed her! Tears running down his cheeks while he holds her. And then he tells the hounds to attack again. and look at the stress from his forehead to the top of his nose and even his clenched teeth. He is mad, and you can still see the tears running down both of his cheeks. Shoom! Man, that should have vaporized those two hounds. And that blast was huge. In my opinion, it should have vaporized them. But all three of them are still there. So they must have some type of armor that, you know, protects them for the most part. But all three of them seem to teleport away. And Scott, you know, tries to hit him again, even though they've just teleported. I think Scott was just doing that because of the anger welling up in him because Bloodstorm was just killed. And I love this. Come back here and fight me! Coward! And, of course, someone has to take a picture of that, you know, with their cell phone. And then he's looks over Bloodstorm's body. Bloodstorm, I'm so sorry. He picks her up and carries her away, and he sends a telepathic message to Jean Grey because they have a psychic link. It says Code Blue. And then Jean alerts Bobby, who's at a play. You know, it took him months to get tickets to see this play, but he's needed back at the Institute. So he leaves, and while he does, the hooded figure that we saw at the beginning of the comic watches him from atop that building. Watches him, you know, ski away on his ice sled. But then that hooded figure blasts him and knocks him, you know, pretty much onto the ground. But Bobby doesn't take that lightly. No, he tries to fight back, but he doesn't know who he's fighting. But then Nathan Summers, who's Cable, finds him. Says, "Tell me that it's not you shooting at me." But Cable's there to get him to safety. And he asks Cable, "Who is that?" But for some reason, Cable never answers. And I think it's because Cable knows who it is. He just says, "Get back to the mansion. The future depends on it." And Bobby's like, you know, not going to, because he wants to stick around and fight, even though he was sent a telepathic message from Jean Grey saying you're needed back at the mansion, the Institute. Now, I don't like this pose particularly. I mean, it's okay. This is Iceman being shocked. But this Iceman right here is gay. You know, thanks to Brian Michael Bendis. But the pose he's in looks kind of feminine to me. And I think that's odd, given that, you know, Marvel is not a company that makes fun of gay figures or in their stories. You know, I might be reading this all wrong. I don't know. But overall, this shot is, you know, not bad. It's drawn very well. Just the stance of him while Iceman's being shocked looks, you know, less than masculine. Anyways, back at the Xavier Institute, you know, they're at the mansion. Scott rushes in. He's looking for Rachel Grey. And there she is. And that's Rachel Grey. And he wants to... He's saying that the man that killed Bloodstorm has the same stripes that his hounds had the same stripes that she does. And I do like the way that Rachel Gray was drawn here. Very sexy, you know. And he's like, "Who is he?" And Rachel realizes, she said, "Who is, you know, this man? What did he look like? Some sort of techno pirate." And she thinks it could be Ahab, a man that turned her into a hound once to hunt mutants. And she thinks that would explain why her markings have returned. But you know, that's another problem that they would have to face. And here we see Scott again. You know, he's still distraught, tears running down his face. And then Hank comes in and asks if they're talking about Bobby. And he's curious because he hasn't heard from him. Now I find this rather peculiar because Hank McCoy right here looks very similar to Clark Kent. I don't know if that was deliberate, but you know, he almost looks just like Clark Kent with the with those type of glasses and the curl in his hair. And then back at the site, Bobby is still suffering from that blast, and Cable's hiding because I think he knows what's coming, and he was going to send him back to the mansion because Cable can teleport, but this hooded figure doesn't allow that. He said, "How? This is your fault, Cable. Everything that happens now is because you neglected to do your duty. You're wrong." And they fight, and you know, Cable tells him exactly what I mentioned earlier, that the X-Men were sent back to the present so that the present day X-Men could see how they were when the X-Men were young. Then the X-Men could be sent back in time with the knowledge of today and hopefully be better heroes, be better mutants. And Jean Grey is trying to use Cerebro, which is a computer that can locate any living mutant on the planet. Any living mutant, that is. And she said there was a blip, then nothing. And so she said it's like he went offline because she can't see him anymore. So Kitty Pryde, the one there in the yellow, is presuming that he's dead. But Jean Grey, the one wearing the helmet, isn't convinced. And she says that she sensed Cable. And Hank says, "Can you see the other person through Cable's eyes?" She says that she could try, but that he's not usually receptive to people poking around, you know, in his mind. So they know for sure that Bloodstorm was killed, and that Iceman might be killed. But then the hooded figure has his gun aimed directly at Cable and then blasts him. It says, "You're relieved of duty." And it's like 4 blasts from both guns, which I think was a bit excessive, but, you know, that's the way it reads. And it says you really should have seen that coming because, like I said, Cable can time travel. He can easily time travel between eras and decades. And all of a sudden, Jean, who wasn't looking through Cable's eyes, gets a psychic shock, almost like a psychic seizure, and she falls to the floor. And she says, "It's Cable. He's dead." And she's right. He is. So later, the team goes to the site of where Cable lays dead, and they're crying because they're sad. Rachel Gray is sad, and because I think she was somehow Cable's daughter. I'm not sure. It gets confusing for me. And then the older Jean Grey shows up, the one who looks better, with a Nightcrawler. And she came because she heard the younger Jean Grey's psychic screams from 3,000 feet under the ocean, because that's where her base is. And Nathan Summers, who looks older than the Jean Grey there on the far left, is her son. I recently looked that up and found it to be rather confusing, so I won't even go into that. And so now there's 2 heroes confirmed dead. And Jean is really starting to worry. And the older Jean, she's talking like she's filled with vengeance, and I'm sure she is. But they're going to track them. They're going to track the perpetrator down, or at least they're going to try to. And Rachel says this here wasn't Ahab, I'm telling you. The dude who turned her into a hound to hunt mutants. Because his hounds don't go anywhere without him. Then who is it? But Kitty points out something. I refuse to believe that 2 attacks and 2 dead X-Men in the space of hours is a coincidence. And I have to agree. That can't be a coincidence. Alright, now this is the end of the comic. This is an undisclosed location, and that's someone occupying what looks like a stasis tube, or cryostasis. Now there is a reveal on the next page, but I'm not going to show it to you because, what good would that do? What good would that be? Because then you wouldn't have any reason to go out and buy the comic book. Overall, this is a mystery type story. And that's good. That's something that keeps you guessing. And action, fast-paced action that keeps me, the reader, off balance. So I don't know what's going on. And I just have to keep reading to find out. And the writer, Ed Brisson, I have to say, did a really excellent job with this story. I was thoroughly entertained. I enjoyed it a lot. And I would recommend Extermination #1 to anybody. So that's what I think of this story. The artwork was really good. It was not like the common Marvel comic that has muddy coloring and it has very little light. You know, and I'm talking about I'm talking about light colors. You know, because that's something that makes a person feel, you know, actually good or bad about any story or any book. If it has pictures, then, you know, a positive representation of the story can help. But muddy coloring, that's kind of, you know, depressing or saddening, often doesn't help. So that's what I have to say for Extermination #1. That's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're new to my channel, Spirit Comics, please do subscribe and smash that bell like She-Hulk so you can be notified of all new uploads. Please do like and share this review with others so they can enjoy it as well. And don't forget to leave your comments. Till next time, true readers.